Fei Fei's entry to the United States and the critical high school years, where she's really becoming her own individual person. It also sets up some of the key scientific history around the early development of artificial intelligence. And the two histories, Fei Fei's and AI's, are paralleled in development. So the chapter we hear about the early stages of the theories and techniques that will underpin the AI field, while we're also hearing about the early stages of how Fei Fei is developing her own mind and personality. The personal story that Fei Fei weaves is really around overcoming the challenges of being an immigrant in New Jersey. And what really struck me in this part was the observations of the contrast between life in the US and China. She used some really striking language, talking about American high school being an assault on the senses, that the nature of light and sound were somehow different, which really invoked the notion of consciousness. And that American students demonstrated rowdiness and irreverence as the norm, in contrast to what she'd seen in China. A few of the personal anecdotes foreshadow key futures in AI. First, her father's love for garage sales and her observation that this was about building a catalog of the world, not saving money. Her used calculator at school holding her back in math because it was broken. And so the reliance on computers as a potentially risky gambit. And her love of American history and the values that are baked into the Bill of Rights. When we get into the history of science bit and we're looking at that development, this was where the biggest surprise was for me, as I'm not technically trained. In particular, the development of the perceptron and the neocognitron. And specifically that the perceptron, an early neuron in machine learning, was developed by a psychologist, which is something that I think we would be hard pressed to see today, given the disciplinary walls in academia. And so she goes through this and ultimately builds to Yanli Kun's early Bell Labs research on the automatic recognition of zip codes on checks, which was developed in New Jersey when Fei Fei had moved there.